Hey guys, welcome back to the studio. So today was a pretty strange day because I'm trying to figure out all the technology behind the recording of the lessons and so on, and I'm still not doing great with that. So today I forgot to plug the microphone, so I started the flower and half the way I realized that I didn't have sound. So basically I'm stretching another piece of paper. So I just wanted to show you how I do it. So basically, I started with putting a little piece of tape here, then I put tape at the bottom, tape here. You see the paper is nice and flat, and I'm using some masking tape. I like to use the white one on the white background. Sometimes it's a bit confusing, but I do it because visually for you I think it's better. But if you're using blue tape or another color, it's fine. It might actually help because sometimes for me it's a little bit confusing to find the limits of the paper and the background. So here it is. So we have the paper. I get some new turpentine because obviously the old turpentine was used. So I'm going to paint the same flower. The thing is that I can show you something pretty funny. So it's the one I've just done. Here it is. But the thing is, because I don't want to paint exactly the same thing because it's kind of boring and so on. So what I did, I used my iPad, and so what I did, I modified the colors. So I changed you can do that when you push the edit button on the photo, and then you have a bunch of different things you can play with. You can actually you can change the saturation, you can change the tint, you can change the warmth. So I changed the tint saturation, so I made different color and so on, and then I rotate the image, so I mirror it. So what was on the left now is on the right and opposite. So to me it's almost like painting a new painting. So it's actually pretty cool. So the painting is going to appear sometime now, I hope, or maybe later, so you will see the difference. Once again, I can show you again the one I've done before, for you to see the difference with the one we're going to paint now. Let me see how I can do that to make things. Okay, you see it's obviously not the same. So when you have some subject like this that you love, you can always play with it, modify the colors, modify this kind of thing and so on, and paint it. So it's a good exercise. Once again, paper, cheap, not a lot of money involved in that painting. An hour work, and so the goal is really to have fun and experiment the colors and just enjoy what we're gonna do. So I'm still drinking my soda, but it's okay. You're pretty familiar, or if you're not, with my palette. My palette is usually I like to spray my colors and put my color around like a rainbow, starting with yellow, orange, red, greens, blues, greens, and the little bee queen. That's gonna, you see it just here, yes. And the saucier, where I put my turpentine. Okay, so we're ready to go. So earlier the background was kind of warm, and now it's kind of cool because I modified the color, as I said. So I'm going to start with I fill with some cayenne blue, and wait a minute, my palette is a bit of a mess, so I'm going to add some cyan blue. I thought I had enough, but obviously no. So I'm just going to add some. And with that cyan, I'm going to add a little bit of a green. So I'm getting some sort of a dark color. And the trick is that I'm going to add a little tiny bit of red. So it's going to desaturate that color. It's going to make it darker and not as saturated. I do a little test here. I'm going to outline quickly the flowers so I know a little bit where I'm going. I want you to locate those flower regards to the rest. So what I mean by that is that don't look just at the flower, look also at the empty space around to locate all those shapes. It's going to help you to draw that thing. So, you know, I'm going to change off camera so you see what I'm doing. So you see, I'm really outlining the whole thing quickly. The goal is not to be precise and to do the drawing and so on. Okay. Just by doing that, you know, I have already some sort of a grid of what I have to do, and you know, you remember when we did the other painting yesterday. The goal on those ones is to have fun. I want you to experiment the colors. I want you to don't hesitate to overextend the colors. So, you know, if you see if something that is light blue, or I mean kind of blue, make it really blue. You have time after to calm it down and just, you know, to come back with some another color on top of it to desaturate it. I really like that blue. It's beautiful, beautiful dark blue, green. I'm sorry, that thing is kind of annoying. It's a lot of little things like this when you start teaching that you have to. When you start sharing videos and so. The technology is actually not that easy to acquire. I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to remember to turn on the sound and things like this. So it's pretty. Okay, now I'm getting to a point where it's something different. I see some violet here. So maybe you can see on my palette that my violet is kind of dry already. So some of the colors are going to dry on your palette really quickly. I paint every day, so usually my colors don't have really time to dry, but they still can do it. And depending on the color, some colors dry really fast and some others don't. So, like for example, I know my titanium white, that brand takes a long time to dry. Now that cyan blue dries in 24 hours. The violet as well. So the reason why the colors don't dry at the same pace most of the time, it's because of the quality of the pigment. So colors are made of pigments. I will do. I've done a little tutorial about colors and where I explain where the colors are coming from. This one I feel there's some violet ultramarine undertone, so I'm just gonna go for it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. I'm going to do something because it's kind of annoying. So I'm going to put some fabric here so it doesn't vibrate like this. When you have something that annoys you, like a noise or something that's kind of getting in your nerves, do something about it. Don't hesitate, because you really want to keep you see, now it's over. You want to keep a good feeling about painting. It has to be a good experience. You know, like for me, I know that it's really difficult for me to paint when there's a lot of noise. I have some dogs, when they bark, it's kind of difficult. And I understand they have to bark, but you have to understand that I have to paint. Here we have something darker, so I'm just gonna. So you see, the great thing is, because I work on paper, that area, it's not dry yet, but the painting has already sunk in. So if I get over it, I can already put a second layer, second coat of painting without really affecting. With having some good results. And you know, I just want you to map the big areas. Don't get too much into details yet. Just try to write down the big colors and so on. I feel already that I should switch to a smaller brush. So like for example, my brush right now, this one, let me go back to the other camera. My brush is loaded with green, blue and so on. So instead of going directly into the turpentine, which is going to stain the turpentine right away, I'm just going to wipe off the brush first, dip into the turpentine a little bit, and now I can clean it, and I won't have a lot of colors in my turpentine. Trying to keep the turpentine quite clear can be helpful to keep some saturated color, mostly the yellows. Yellows are really tricky colors because if you mix the yellows with whatever, you know, just a little bit of blue or whatever, then your yellow can turn into something really dark really quickly. Yellow are really difficult colors to keep from being damaged by other colors. So one of the things I've always been impressed with Van Gogh is the way he can keep his yellow so saturated. I guess he was using a brush just dedicated for the yellows. And he was just using that brush for yellows, because if you touch another color, then if you go back to the yellow, the yellow is going to turn green. I'm going to add some liquid. So I shake the liquid all the time before using it, because the solvents kind of get away from it. So when you pour at the beginning, it's really liquid, and you don't want that, because otherwise the liquid is going to become more and more liquid. I mean solid, because the solvent will be gone. And right now what I'm doing, I'm just trying to see the difference of colors. Like for example here, I see that there's a color that is more of a green in the flower, while the other ones are more of a pink. We have a lot of pollens right now in the area, so my nose is a bit unhappy. I'm going to start also filling up all those spaces, and right now I'm not even going to try to, because it's just it's a chaos of greens. So right now I just want to go to the flowers. I don't necessarily want to do all those leaves precisely. Right now it's more about giving some information where I see some greens. I will go back inside those things as we go. You see here we have some greens as well. We have a beautiful green here, but I will do it a bit later. This one is darker than that, so let's mix a little bit of. So you see, I want you to keep really the pleasure of painting on those paintings. When we'll work on portraiture, we'll have time to sweat. On those ones, it's more about enjoying the colors, enjoying the process of painting. There's a little yellow orange here. Let me go back to the close-up so you can see what I'm doing. So you see, I'm keeping everything really loose, really fun, really enjoyable for me. You know, the thing is, if you if you show your work to friends, you might notice that people feel when you have fun doing something. They feel it. And usually when they feel you have fun, they like it more. So keep that in mind. You know, you want to share your happiness. You don't want to share your depression, or, I mean, some people can. I mean, you know, there's a lot of painters who've been painting some really disturbing, dramatic subject and so on. But for this one, I think it's more about, I mean, we're painting of flowers. We're not painting anything really sad. Like, for example, if we think about the beef by Rembrandt, you know, the beef that hang up at the butcher shop, and oh my gosh, that's beautiful, right? It's wrong, but it's beautiful. I'm just going to tone it down, but I love that violet popping out from nowhere. I'm going to try to keep it alive. I think it's more green here. Actually, it's more yellow, and yellow with the violet is going to turn into some sort of a grayish color, because they're complementary colors, but I can keep a little bit of that violet here. You're just going to give some vibration, some richness to the, and I feel like there's some here as well. I almost feel I can switch to another brush already. Smaller brush, so this one, you see the scale of the brush, roughly. I have to stop for a second, because I think I have a visitor. Come on, sweetie. So this is Ella. Come on, Ella. You don't see her, but you'll meet with her at some point. I had to open the door because there's some storm coming and she doesn't like the storm. So she's going to lay down here and stay with me. Okay, sweetie, it's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. Something happened with the microphone. I thought it was not too bad. So Karen was telling me this morning she's watching someone who does videos on YouTube, or I think it's YouTube, whatever. And as she's recording, there's always something happening, like she breaks something and so on. And so I cannot rely to that. So you see, it's a game of comparison. I'm always trying to map things, to know where are the things, where it goes. You can lay down, sweetie. Yeah. Sorry, talking to the dog. Come on, yeah. She really doesn't like the storm. She's a hunting dog and she doesn't like guns, the storm. So I'm not sure she's the best hunting dogs, which is okay because I don't hunt. I just love that breed. The German Shorted Pointer, they're just beautiful dogs. So you see, I'm just trying to put some colors and as I said, on this one, I really want you to have fun. You know, there's several reasons why people paint. There's some people who want to make a living with it, and some other people who just want to have a good time. I think both are absolutely okay.
I've been teaching to different group of people, and some they want to learn how to paint because they want to get into galleries and so on. But some other people, they just want to enjoy the act of painting, and quite often they get a little bit, I won't say scared, but you know, they want to paint in a realistic way and so on. And I think sometimes it's better to go into abstraction just in order to enjoy the act of painting. And painting those flowers is a little bit about that. It's a little bit about getting in a place of pleasure. And if you start enjoying the colors, you know, you can actually do an abstract painting from something like this. I did abstract for about 2 or 3 years. I did only abstract when I was in my 30s, and there was a need for me to understand painting, because abstraction is definitely more of a, I won't say intellectual, but it's more spiritual. Not spiritual, because figuration is really spiritual as well, but it's definitely a different approach. And but abstraction, doing abstraction is really fun. I mean, I love it. It's just, to me, it's like painting those flowers, you know, it's just something about joy, about having fun. It's more difficult when you do, like, for example, portraiture. Portraiture is a more difficult place to really enjoy painting, because of course you're more into the making than into the pleasure. If you start doing a portrait, like I'm painting those flowers with a lot of freedom and so on, yeah, you're gonna have fun. You're just not gonna look like the person you're trying to paint. And of course, portraiture, sometimes, by the way, sometimes some people on social media or whatever, you know, they say, oh my gosh, it's too classical, you know, it's too realism, blah blah blah. The thing is, and I'm trying to explain, when you get commissioned to do a portrait, usually people want the portrait to look like them. So if you do a portrait and it doesn't look like the person you're trying to paint, quite often the person is going to say, you know what, no, I don't want the painting. So you see, I'm just navigating through the shape, through the colors. I'm trying to look at some colors regards to the other one. For example, like this, there's a green here. I think it's more of a blue than a green. Here we have the tip of the leaf that is a bit more clear. So you see, just by dancing around with my brush, the painting starts coming along. And that's really what I want you to enjoy on that series. That series is about pleasure. Now I'm going to get a little bit inside of that with a darker color, and I'm going to start drawing those darker shapes that I'm seeing. So I'm not painting the leaves, I'm painting the space between the leaves. And in order to create that dark color, I didn't use black. I used actually violet and green. And I like not to mix them really well. I leave them a little bit unmixed. So when I take the colors, you know, I can show you. You see I'm putting some green and violet. And I'm really trying not to over mix them right now. So when I go on the painting, I have a little bit of a violet close to a little bit of a green, and then that creates itself some vibration. It's little tricks, and I don't usually like tricks, but it's things we learn as we paint. We all get into, when we say all, you know, even the great master, they get into those habits of doing things, not like a recipe, but a little tiny bit, you know, they know what they're doing. And it's okay, it's fine. Doesn't mean we're going to do it all the time, but so you see, the great thing about a painting like this is, I mean, an image like this is, with one image, I'll show you, you can create several different paintings. You just modify the colors and so on. So you can do a little exercise like this pretty much every day. You know, you arrive in the studio and you say, oh, you know, I'm going to spend 40 minutes, 45 minutes just painting something like this, and you keep it. You just don't think that it's a masterpiece. It's not. It's just a little painting. It's just something fun that you can do, and you know, if you had a bad day or whatever, it's like meditation almost. And if you make a mistake, like for example, you see I put some red here and I think it's too much, I'm just going to take some green and get over it. And it just, you know, if I don't overwork, they're not going to mix well, and so that's going to bring more, as I say, more richness, more... Oh, the storm is back. The dog as well. I have a little green here, it's beautiful, I don't know if you see it. And I have those elements here that are a bit lighter, so I'm going to make a little lighter green, and I'm just going to go like this. I have a little thing here, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. I think you can hear Ella laying down. I love a bit the dogs with me in the studio. It's so sweet. I have beautiful green here. And you see, the thing is, what's beautiful is when things come without looking for them. What I mean by that is, you know, you just forget what you're painting, you just, you know, see something, almost like write it down with colors and so on. Like for example, there's a beautiful green here, and then suddenly you look at your painting and say, oh my gosh, it starts looking good, and you didn't have any effort to put into it. It's just natural. And I would love you to get to that point where things come naturally. You know, it's funny because yesterday I was watching an interview of George Condo, and I love his work. It's such a great painter. And he said something. He said, you know, he said, so they were asking him some advice for a young painter, and he said, paint before you think, and you think after. And I think that's so true. Just think after, just paint. Let the painting go through you, let that whole energy go through you, and the result will come. It's a journey in colors, it's a journey in joy. You know, it's, when you think about it, you know, the great Bob Ross was even saying, he said something really funny. He said, even trees are friends. I thought that was so strange. So, okay, so a couple of things that are really important. Okay, I'm talking often about the circulation of light. What I mean by circulation of light is that I don't want anything to stop my vision to go through those lines, those colors and so on, and dance with them. Each time I have an arch line, it's a borderline. It's something, when I cross, I need to check my ID or whatever. So imagine like it's a map of countries. And then you have areas where you can travel freely, there's no limitation, you just can go around. And there's some areas that are more you know, like here, like for example, yes, this one is important. This one also as well. I feel it's important. So you just have to make a. I mean, if everything is like this, or if everything like this, it might not work. I don't know. It depends. You have to find your own identity after. You know, I mean, for me, I know that what matters to me more is that circulation that creates. I call them passage. I mean, the people I used to I have a friend I teach to, and I told her about passage so many times that now she's kind of she knows me as the passage guy. So the passage, to go back to the passage, if you look at it from here, from that area to inside the vase, there's almost no lines here. And that's the beauty. If you squint your eyes, you will see that there's no lines here. So that makes the light get in the vase. And same thing for here and here. The light circulates so easily in those areas, and that's beautiful. That's a beautiful story, you know, that says that, because now our eyes can go inside the vase, outside the vase, in the background, go back to the flowers and so on. And it's like a dance. And the more your eyes are going to dance in a painting, the more you're going to enjoy it. It's like an arabesque. It's like a dance. And the Impressionists were, of course, master at doing things like this. So their paintings, I really love what I've just done here. It's really nice. I'm easy to satisfy. I mean, of course, the Impressionists were working a lot on this kind of thing, like the landscape of Monet and so on, because it was all about that. It was, you know, they were looking at landscape, and the whole light was circulating. There's no limits when we're talking about landscapes and so on. And that's one of the things I really love about the Monet's landscapes is that intelligence of the circulation of the light. And you know, don't really care if the flower is not exactly where it should be and so on. Just give yourself a break. Once again, we are here to paint an ambiance, a mood, some sort of a dance or something. So, you know, it's not about, on this painting, it's not about the realism, are the flowers really well done and so on. I mean, I will be honest with you, most of people are going to know we're doing flowers. And most of people will know you're painting flowers, even if you think your flowers could be better and so on. But once again, it's not the point, because they're not flowers. It's a flat surface. This is a flat surface. There's no flowers behind it. So what really matters is not the flowers. What matters is the paint, is the painting. And so we need to keep in mind that that's really what is important. In any painting, the subject is less important than the painting. I think it's why there's this big fight between realism and abstract, and you know, to me, a good painting is a good painting. I don't care if it's abstract or figuration or whatsoever. I know really good abstract painter, and I know really bad figurative painter, and the opposite is true as well. I mean, even if the idea of good painter and bad painter has evolved over the last 20 years, because thanks to social media. You know, we'll talk about it someday, but social media is something really important for the art world. I think so, because it has changed the fact that the people who decide what is good and what is not anymore just a little group of people. we're talking about a much larger group. You decide what is good and what is not just by going on the page of someone and liking it. And sometimes it's disturbing for, you know, the curators or collectors because they say, oh my gosh, it's not good art. I don't think there's anything like good or bad art. There is art that make an impact, and there is other things that don't. When it makes an impact on the society and so on, to me, it's kind of a good art. I mean, you know, it's for me, that's what is good art. Good art is something that changes the vision of people on what is the world. So you see, I feel I'm almost done, and you know, I've been painting effortlessly. I had a lot of fun. It was not painful. So you know, it's not a masterpiece. I don't care, but I had a good time doing it, and you know, it's okay, you know, to just have a good time. You know, things don't have to be painful. They can be joy, they can be and you see I'm mapping, I'm seeing those elements, darker, lighter, whatever, and I'm just marking them. Like I'm doing the map of this thing, and I feel my map is almost completed. And you see all the passage I'm making right now, all those little things, is because once again I want the light to circulate inside that painting. I don't want too much brushwork in the background, so I'm kind of blending a little bit. But you know, I feel I'm almost done actually. Really gently, without doing anything. And once again, it's not a masterpiece. It's just a good time I had. And I will share it with some people. Like you can share your painting with your families, with your friends, and so on. And you know, they don't need to necessarily need to be, once again, masterpieces. They can just be a piece of life, a slice of life, a slice of your day, a slice of. I did that and I enjoyed it. Good for you. Okay, now, you know, one of my favorite moments is to untape the painting, because that's where all things appear. So, you know, I'm just going to take the tape away. And I love those lines that, you know, are so beautiful. It's almost like a little frame. That's why I love to work on paper like this. So let me go back to the large camera. clean my finger. I don't want too much painting on this nice paper. Here it is. So I had fun. I hope you had fun too, and I'll see you for the next one. Okay? Bye bye. Thank you.